The build I will show you today is a level 150 Pyromancer that will melt everything that stands in your way. But not just your incantations are good with this build. You will deal a lot of damage with your melee weapons as well. The build is relatively easy to use, so I give it a 3 out of 5 in ease of use. The only thing that might be a bit harder to manage is to use all the incantations mid-fight. If you want to recreate the build, start with the Vagabond class. You can get to decent strength relatively quickly by getting the Finger Seal from the Twin Maiden Husk and getting the incantation Catch Flame from Brother Corinth after arriving in the Round Table Hold. After buying Catch Flame, just put some of the souls you gain in the early game into Faith. Catch Flame will also be one of the main incantations for the build, so why wait? However, the main melee weapon of this build is the Guardian Sword Spear, which has a unique moveset and deals massive damage. The build has 47 vigor to increase its survivability. Mind I leveled to 30 since we deal most of our damage with incantations. Endurance I leveled to 20 because the build doesn't use heavy equipment or weapons. Strength and Dexterity are both leveled to 18 to meet the minimum requirements for the weapons the build uses. Intelligence and Arcane I left on the base stats. Faith I leveled all the way up to 80 to boost the damage the build does with incantations and flame art infused weapons. The Guardian Sword Spear is the main weapon of the build. To get the maximum damage out of it, I infused it with flame art, using the Ash of War Flaming Strike. Another weapon I like to use is the Iron Cleaver, also infused to flame art with the Ash of War Flaming Strike. The Iron Cleaver has a unique moveset which allows you to charge your heavy while running towards the locked on target. It is also really good to break the poise of your enemy. The Monk's Flame Blade is a weapon I highly recommend giving a try with this build. Infuse it with flame art to get the faith scaling and use the Flame Strike Ash of War. If you encounter enemies with high fire resistance, I recommend having some holy weapons in the backhand. The Inseparable Blade is a good weapon to use in this case. The Golden Epitaph is a good weapon to have with this build since it kills skeletons the first time you strike them down. The seal the build uses is the Erdtree Seal and the Giant Seal. The Erdtree Seal is the best seal to use if you just leveled Faith and no Intelligence. To boost some of the incantation the build uses, I also use the Giant Seal to boost Fire Giant incantations. But I don't cast the incantations with the Giant Seal, I just have it equipped in the other hand and cast them with the Erdtree Seal and still get the boost. The talismans the build uses are all focused on increasing the dealt damage of the build. The Flock's Canvas Talisman and the Faithful's Canvas Talisman are both boosting the damage of all incantations in the game. But the build uses only fire damage incantations, and that's why I also use the Fire Scorpion Charm to boost the damage even further. Nearly all of the fire incantations are chargeable, which makes the Godfrey icon really effective. It increases damage whenever you can charge a spell or charge an Ash of War. If you liked the video so far, please consider subscribing. This will help my channel a lot and I'm really thankful for it. To boost the damage of the build even further, I use the Flame Shrouding Crag tier and the Faith Knot Crystal tier in my Physick. The incantations the build uses are almost all damage incantations. I use a certain order in which I attune the incantations so I can manage them better in the middle of a fight. Starting with Catch Flame. Catch Flame is one of the best incantations in the game if you want to deal damage without using too much mana. The DPS of Catch Flame is massive. The next incantation is Flame Fall Upon Them. It deals great damage. The bigger the enemy you are fighting, the higher the chance of hitting multiple times with this incantation. It is also useful in group fight situations. After that, I attune the incantation Flame Sling, which deals good damage for the mana it uses. It also has a small AoE, which enables you to deal damage to multiple enemies at once. Giant's Flame Take D is the incantation I attune after Flamesling. It deals massive damage and has a big AoE. The mana cost is a bit too much for frequent use, so don't overuse it. Whirl of Flame is a precision tool I like to use to hit enemies that I could not hit with Flamesling. Since all fireball projectiles need you to throw them in an arc to hit the enemies which are further away, it is not always possible to hit enemies which are standing in specific places. Whirl of Flame will help you with those enemies. The last offensive incantation I like to use is Black Flame. It is also a fireball projectile, but after hitting your target with the Black Flame incantation, you will deal some extra potential damage due to the nature of Black Flame in Elden Ring. The first buff incantation I use with this build is Golden Vow. Golden Vow buffs your damage even further, but it also buffs your defense. I like to add Flame Grant Me Strength to that to get a massive damage buff for around 30 seconds. For the case I ever get poisoned, I have the incantation Flame Cleanse Me to get rid of status effects. Consumables are quite relevant for this build, since you can deal so much more damage if you use oil pots. Besides the oil pot, I also use throwing daggers and kukuris to finish off an enemy that just barely survived. I also use the Giant's Flame Fire Pot to deal moderate damage while not in striking range. To boost my defenses in certain situations, I also like to use the Boiled Crab or Prawn. To heal myself in calm situations, I use Warming Stones. I carry 6 Crimson Flasks and 8 Cerulean Flasks to have enough mana for my playstyle. But feel free to change it so it fits your playstyle. The Drake Knight armor feels like it was made for this build. It looks especially nice on a female character and has the perfect colors for the flame damage based build. For the sliders of my character, click the info card in the top right corner. To sum it all up, let's talk about the strengths and the weaknesses of the build. This build truly melts through your opponents. Everything in your way will crumble into dust. I was not able to one-shot these omens with any other build. The highest damage I could reach with this build was breathtaking, so try it out for yourself. But be aware that Mount Gelmir is the nemesis of this build. The enemies there are nearly all invincible to fire, so for that area I recommend using holy infused weapons. Every enemy that has high fire resistance you will have to deal with in the same way. Subscribe for more build videos like this one and I see you next time.